Hello guys, I hope that you are safe in your houses and are moving out only when it's very necessary. And you all must be in full gear for your studies because we have already lost a valuable amount of time due to this coronavirus pandemic. So today we will be starting class 9 social studies, and the first branch of social science that we will be taking is geography. Now for class 9, studying geography and studying social science in general can be tough because since 8th you have been studying them in a single book, but now you have four different books. But don't worry, we will be covering them one by one in a simple and an easy way. So before starting geography, I would request all of you to keep this in mind that when you are studying geography, you would need to memorize a lot many things. The reason I say so is because unlike other branches of social science like history, civics, economics, if you know the particular concept or the event, there you can write it in your own words. But in geography, if India is at a particular latitude and longitude, it will stay there. So if you miss it by a degree or something, your answer will be wrong. Therefore, I advise you keep your full attention on the things that are written on the board, the things which are said, and it will be easier for you to memorize them. Now, one of the strategy which I tell to everybody I teach is that before you start a chapter, when you are making notes, write down all the topics that are covered in a particular chapter. The basic advantage of this strategy is that when you are studying for an examination, you would have the topics written in a neat and precise manner. So you can look at what topics are your weak topics and what are the topics that you need to study with. So I am Rushan and let's get started. So now we start with the first chapter of geography, class 9, that is India, size and location. So there are 4 topics that we would be studying, and those 4 topics are India's size, India's location, India and the world, how India actually interacted with the Western world and the rest of the world, and 4th is India's neighbors. Here we will see how many countries does India share its border with. Now this particular chapter is very short and simple, so if you put in just about 30% of your total concentration and focus, I am sure that you will not lose marks in this. So let us start with the first topic, that is India's location. India is a very vast country and a very diverse nation, where many religious communities, where many linguistic communities live together in peace and harmony. And also it has a very different and varied landforms as such, and that is the reason why India is considered as one of the most valuable countries in the world. So now let's have a look at India's location. So these are some of the important points that you guys would need to remember. So let's start. See, India lies entirely in the northern hemisphere. So we as a country lie in the northern hemisphere. Now what is this hemisphere? You know that Earth is a sphere. So if you divide the sphere into half, you get 2 half spheres. So each of the half sphere is known as an hemisphere. So we as a country lie in the northern hemisphere. Now let us look at the second point. It actually talks about the geographical location of Indian landmass. See, the mainland extends between latitude 8 degree 4 minutes north and 37 degree 6 minutes north, longitude 67 degree 7 minutes east and 97 degree 25 minutes east. Now you all must be wondering why am I calling this little bit slant dash as minutes, and minutes is a unit of time, so how can it be used to define angle? So these things you study when you take mathematics in 11th. So you would understand that minutes and seconds is one way to represent the angles. So here you no need to go into detail. Just memorize these latitudes and longitudes the way they are written, because this is the geographical coordinates of our country. Now many of you must have a confusion between what is latitude and longitude. See, latitudes are used to represent a country's geographical position southern or northern of the equator. Okay, so if we know that equator is a line that passes through the center of the earth, so if you have to define a location north or south of the equator, we use what? Latitude. And for longitude, this is actually the geographical coordinate with respect to the prime meridian. And so when you are defining a particular place, when you are defining a particular region, you actually need to specify the latitude and longitudes of a particular country, because then only the person can arrive at that exact location. Now let us look at the third point. The Tropic of Cancer divides the country into 2 equal halves. So this Tropic of Cancer, which passes through the country, that is our India, it passes in such a manner that it splits the country into two equal parts. The coordinates of Tropic of Cancer are 23 degree 30 minutes north. Now what is this Tropic of Cancer, you all must be wondering. See, tropic are actually two lines which are 23 degree and 27 minutes north. Actually it's written 30 minutes here, but in general it is 27 minutes north or south of the equator. So the line which is 23 degree 30 minutes north to the equator, it is known as Tropic of Cancer, and the line which is 23 degree 30 minutes south to the equator is known as the Tropic of Capricorn. So the Tropic of Capricorn does not pass through India, only the Tropic of Cancer passes through the country and it divides the country into two equal halves. So this is a very important 1 mark question which can be asked to all of you. Now you guys probably know that there are two islands which actually are form of the Indian Union. So we'll have a look at them now. Towards southeast lie the Andaman and Nicobar Islands in the Bay of Bengal. So towards southeast of the country, if you take out the political map or physical map of India, you would probably see that towards southeast lies the Andaman and Nicobar Islands, which are actually in the Bay of Bengal. When we go towards southwest, we find that the Lakshadweep Islands are there in the Arabian Sea. So towards southeast, we have the Bay of Bengal, where the Andaman and Nicobar Islands are situated. And when we go towards southwest of the country, we have the Arabian Sea, in which Lakshadweep Islands are situated. Now Lakshadweep Islands are the largest coral reef islands that we have. Now let us look at the last point, that is the southernmost point of India. It is known as the Indira Point, and it was submerged in 2004 due to tsunami. Now the southernmost point is actually the last point in our country, which is known as the Indira Point. Now this is a very, very important 1 mark question, and it has been asked in many examinations, and it is a favorite question for the exam setters. So please pay attention to this particular point. Southernmost point of India is the Indira Point, which was submerged in 2004 due to tsunami. So tsunami is actually a natural disaster which you all probably know. Japan is one country which is hit by frequent tsunamis. Okay, so that is the reason why it is, and it originates in the water bodies, the oceans and the other water bodies. Now one other thing which your textbook does not mention, and you guys probably would have studied this in your lower classes, is that India is also known as a peninsula. Now be honest, how many of you actually know what is a peninsula? So if you guys know what is a peninsula, a big clap for you, and those who have forgotten what actually is a peninsula, let us recall. See, peninsula is actually a landmass which is situated or surrounded by water on three sides. So if we look towards India, we find that towards the southeast lies the Bay of Bengal, and towards southwest lies the Arabian Sea. And towards south, if we see right in front of the country, we see that the Indian Ocean is present. So India is actually covered by three water bodies on three sides, and hence India is a peninsula. And it is very important to remember this because it is one of the very basic questions that is asked related to our country. So now let's go and see India's size. Now let us have a look at the second topic, that is India's size. Now it's very, very important for us to understand and see it in terms of mathematical numbers, how big is our country. We know that India is a vast country, but now let's look at some figures. So the landmass has an area of about 3.28 million square kilometers. So you can very well understand that square kilometer is a unit to express the area. So India has a landmass of about 3.28 million square kilometers. So you can very well understand it's such a big and a vast country. Second topic that we have is it accounts for 2.4% of the world's total geographical area. So the country, India in general, accounts for 2.4% of the total geographical area that we have in the world. Now these two figures you need not memorize because these are approximate figures, so they might probably not be asked in your examination, but see, your school papers and your exam setters can take any question since it is written in your book. So it's important that you know about them. Let's look at the third point. 7th largest country in the world. Now this particular thing is very, very important. What is the ranking of country when it comes to geographical area? What is the ranking of India when it comes to geographical area? So India is the 7th largest country in the world when we talk about the total area that it covers, and we are the second populous country. That means the population of a country is second. So when it comes to geographical area, we are 7th. Now it has a land boundary of about 15,200 kilometers. Now what does this land boundary mean? See, land boundary is actually the total boundary that we have with other countries. So it has over 15,200 kilometers and a coastline of about 7,516.6 kilometers. Since we know that India is a peninsula, so we have a very long coastline as well. Now this coastline has very strategic importance, be it in terms of politics and economics. So we have a very vast coastline which is approximately 7,516.6 kilometers. Now India, if you look at the physical map of India, you would probably see that towards the north, northwest and the north side, we have lots of mountain ranges. India is bounded by young fold mountains in the north, northwest, northeast. Now one of the best examples of the young fold mountains, you guys must have studied this in your lower classes, what are young fold mountains. So Himalayas is one example of young fold mountains. So they are spread towards the north, northwest and northeast. Now northeast is one beautiful area of our country where you have lots of landforms, you have lots of terrain and lots of mountain. So India is bounded by young fold mountains in that particular area. Now south of north 22 latitude. Now what does this mean? See, we have studied what is latitude. It is actually a geographical coordinate which determines how north and how south we are from the equator. So south of about 22 degree latitude, it begins to taper. Now what is the meaning of taper? See, what happens is that if you look at the physical map or political map of India, you see that the north area of the country is broadened, it has a lot of thickness. But when we go towards the southern area, the thickness of the India's map or the geography reduces. So as we go towards the south, it reduces. Now it extends towards the Indian Ocean. So you know that towards the south area we have the Indian Ocean. Now we have the Bay of Bengal on the east and Arabian Sea on the west. You guys have probably heard about this in news because we had two different cyclones which are known as Cyclone Fani and Cyclone Nisar. And one of them originated in the Bay of Bengal, the other originated in the Arabian Sea. So while we are studying geography, I'm trying to connect you with all the current scenarios that are taking place. So you are not just only studying geography, you know what are the different things that affect geography when it comes to current scenarios. Now I would request all of you to please pay full attention to the next points that we are going to discuss, because these are the most important points of this chapter. Now there is a time lag of about 2 hours between Arunachal Pradesh and Gujarat. See, Arunachal Pradesh is one state in northeast, whereas Gujarat is one of the so between these two states there is a time lag of about 2 hours. Now if you convert hours into minutes, you get 120 minutes. Now this is a very big difference between these two states. You guys would have seen that no matter in which part of the country you are, the time remains same. This is because the time along the standard meridian of India, which is 82 degree 30 minutes east, which passes through Mirzapur in UP, is taken as the standard time for the country. See, since there is time lag between the states as we move from south to north and between different states, it was important that we choose a standard time for the country. Now how did this standard time was chosen? The time was taken along the standard meridian of India. Now let us understand what is meridian. See, meridian you guys must have studied in your lower classes, but meridian can be considered as a circle which passes through both the poles, that is south and north pole. Also you can understand this in the form that it is an imaginary line which joins the south and the north pole. So these two poles are the two extreme ends of the earth. Now with respect to the prime meridian, the longitudes are calculated. Okay. Now this is not part of your syllabus, but it is important that you know what is latitude, longitude and meridians and all. Now it is taken as the standard time for the country along the standard meridian of India. Now standard meridians are actually taken by the country to determine a standard time for their particular country. Now if you go to US or if you go to any other place, their standard meridian will be different. And now we need to remember, you need to memorize the standard meridian of India. It is at 82 degree 30 minutes east, which passes through Mirzapur in UP. Now this is a very important 1 mark question. It can be asked that the standard meridian of India passes through which city, which place, in which state. So it passes through Mirzapur in Uttar Pradesh. Now the latitudinal extent influences the duration of night as you move from south to north. Now latitude actually influences the duration of day and night. You would have seen that in some states the days are longer, in some states the nights are longer. This is because of the latitudinal extent. So as we go from south to north, that is when we come from the southern states to the northern states, we see that there is a difference between the duration of day and night. Now you guys can pause the video and please note it down.